Welcome back to Billboard Latin Music Week and our next superstar conversation between Pharrell Williams and Rosalia. They are both in Miami where they're working together. Welcome Pharrell, welcome Rosalia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what can you tell us about what you've been doing? I don't know how much of this is top secret, so how much can you share? What can you tell us?
I mean, we've been making music together and yeah, we've been just having fun while we make music, right?
Lots of fun.
Yeah. And we've been working on a few songs, some new we've been writing together, and yeah, it's been amazing.
It's a pleasure to work with her because she not only knows what she wants, but there are three things that really mean something to her. The first one is intention. Because everything that she does, it has to really mean something to her.
Yeah.
And so she wants to make sure that's always communicated. The second thing is commitment. Like, she wants to be committed to it. And anything that she does, she wants, people to discern or feel that, like, she's really committed to going all the way. It's not just like an idea. Like, if the idea is there, you'd better be prepared for her to go all the way. And then the third thing is about conviction, which for her, it's, she feels like, man, I want to be convinced, because if I'm not convinced, then my audience is not going to be convinced. So for me, when I think about her and like the three pillars of what means something to her, it's always the intention, the commitment, and the conviction.
I see that in you though. I see that you are like that. When you make music, I see that you have that too. You don't feel like that?
I mean, I try, but you're like full on, and she's gonna sit there. She's gonna, if she does vocals, she's gonna do it like over and over again, or what we call comping, and she'll comp those vocals. Like if it takes 3 days, she's gonna go through line by line by line because she wants to make sure that you understand every syllable. All of the intention.
Yeah, it's true.
She's committed in that process, right?
But then, thank God, he comes and says, he gives me perspective and say, listen, it's great that you work a lot on something, but there's a point when where you cannot lose the essence, right?
Yes.
Or what really matters and the primary intention, maybe.
Yes.
And it's so good when you're working with somebody that has an amazing point of view, and that gives you another point of view and that gives you perspective. Because I think in a creative process it's really hard when you don't have other perspectives.
Right.
And you just focused on your own, and it's really better, I think, the result when there's different points of views that goes towards the same thing but from different angles, I think.
Wow. Well,
I'm feeling a little tortured here. I don't know if you're working on one song, on 2 songs, on 5 songs, on a video, on an album. Please put me out of my misery. We need details. What are you guys doing?
I mean, I'm working on my next project, but Pharrell is really, really involved, and we are working on just making music, right? You never know. When you're making music, you don't really think. I mean, it can be an idea, it can be a concept, but sometimes you just do it. I learned that also, that you do it, that you just do it.
Yeah.
And later it's gonna be whatever it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I'm sometimes maybe a little bit more rational.
Yeah.
But it's fun to do it like that too,
Yeah.
Like it's more unpredictable, the result, I think, and it's amazing. It's another way to experiment, I think.
I want to also add that Chad is here with us too.
Yeah.
So
and it's been amazing.
It's definitely Neptune's, like, it's a whole other like vibration. It's crazy.
And I've always been a huge fan of them, and it's like amazing to see how Chad works and how your connection, guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. I've always loved their music, and see them like produce, see them how they arrange, how they work, how they write. Like, for me, you're one of the best writers I've been like around for sure. Period.
I want you guys to talk a little bit about how you discovered each other's music. Rosalia, you said you were a huge fan of the Neptunes. Can you talk to us about that? When did you first hear them? And Pharrell, when did you first hear Rosalia's music?
I've always been a fan of not a specific genre or style, more artists and points of view. And I think that they brought something on the table that it was new and different. And I still feel like he's always fresh and he's always pushing. And I think that still nowadays when I hear the last record that you've done, and the Lemon song, and I was like, why I didn't do that? Like, you know, and it feels the same way with, I don't know, your productions.
Thank you.
Since day one, like what you did with Snoop, like a lot of things that you've done and people don't know about. Like you've been always very humble, I think. Because I always admired your career, you know, like you've been able to be an artist, but at the same time a producer behind, and it's crazy, like the freedom I think that you have when you make music.
Wow.
And I always loved his music.
Well, thank you. And I will say that, like, you know, since the first time Rebecca, your manager, since the first time Rebecca ever mentioned you, I was like, really? She was like, no, you gotta understand, this girl's a badass. She's from Barcelona, Spain. You know, the way she looks at things is very different. She has amazing taste. She was like, but you know, the cool thing about her is that she wants to learn. She continues to learn. Like she loves to learn. She was like, I think you guys will be cool together. And I'm like, okay. So she plays me the video, and I cannot pronounce it. It's with a P. What?
De aquí no sale. No, ¿cuál era? Antes de noche.
The first one.
The one that you saw that there's a car.
Yes, yes.
Antes de noche.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she shows me that video, and I'm like, that girl's gone. And I was like, yes, set it up. Let's go in the studio. Let's for sure, like, I need to meet her. And then from the moment that I met Rose, she said that like infectious laugh and giggle that is very signature. It's her own one. And she's got a tone that has no time. It's a timeless tone. Like her talking voice, her singing voice, her head voice, and her chest voice, they're all very, very unique. And so when you meet someone that has that, like she has like amazing vibrato speed and lots of control. So she could like if she wanted to sing like R&B records, like she's got the voice and the chops to do it. So it's like when you're hearing somebody with all that potential, and then you realize they have this amazing visual taste as well, and like an affinity for choreography, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be crazy. So we go in the studio and we tinkered around a little bit, and we made one song. And she ended up
very beautiful one.
Yeah, you ended up performing at Something in the Water. It was crazy. But the crazy thing to me was like being able to feeling honored and feeling like I got a chance to tell, you know, Sony, like, hey, Rebecca's got this artist, like, you guys do not let her out of the building. To say that to Afo, to say that to Rob Stringer, you know, chairman of like Sony Corp now, like, she did not let my words and my belief in her down.
I feel like, yeah, I work very hard.
Yes.
Like really, really, really hard. But at the same time, we were talking about it too, that it needs things to be aligned.
Yeah.
And you cannot take all the credit of all the good things that happens, because there's a lot of people out there that they really work hard, and they're not in the same position. So I'm always grateful for that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've been thinking lately about the fact that women a lot of times we don't have the same opportunity to be as successful as men. And I'm not just talking about like, because I'm really grateful about what I have, but a lot of women, I feel like, Leila, tú lo sabes, que como que there's much more men than women, that they are like big, right?
In our Spanish-speaking world in music, yes. There are more men than women that are successful, but there are women singing in Spanish who are hugely successful too.
And I've been thinking about it, and I think that sometimes we act de una manera como sistémica, ¿no? Como que ni lo pensamos y damos por sentadas según qué cosas que hacen que a lo mejor muchas mujeres no tengan las mismas oportunidades de crecer y de que su negocio crezca como tendría que ser, y en cambio con muchos hombres sí que tienen a lo mejor la oportunidad, ¿no? Entonces, en ese sentido, solo por cómo se hacen las cosas en el negocio y por cómo la industria está montada, en ese sentido, pienso que hay mucho trabajo que hacer.
So Pharrell, Rosalia is talking about how for women it's harder to pave the way. So I wanted to ask you both, what were some of your first moves breaking into the music industry in the early days of your career?
So I want to answer that question, but I kind of want to go back to this woman's conversation, because my answer to your last question is very simple. I just continue to work. I love work so much
that was what
that like before you know it, it's kind of like you look over your shoulder and like you've gone miles, you know, because you just love to work. So mine is, you know what? The Latin culture is a beautiful culture.
It is.
Okay? And the Latin culture really, 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 you know, when you think about the language, you know, it's not like English language where there's a word, it's just a word. With the Latin, if I'm not mistaken, okay, with the Latin language, Spanish, which is rooted in Latin, there is a masculine tense of a word, and there is a, how would you say?
Como guapo, guapa?
Yeah.
Yes, there is a feminine and a masculine in Spanish.
There's like a feminine and masculine way to approach the words.
Yeah.
So that says to you
Yeah,
right
for
then
sure.
and there, in the Latin culture, there is a respect for the woman, right? We need that to translate into the business. And I think the Latin culture can do a much better job at this than we could in the English-speaking world, because the very concept of the way that you communicate has a masculine and feminine aspect. So that should tell you that, like, when it comes down to the business, we got to respect Rebecca, you know, because what Rebecca, your manager, and women like her, what they represent is the balance, you know. And I know it's Latinx, right? But I'm speaking about the woman and her plight. Like, women are I feel like women are the species that are taken for granted. And at the end of the day, none of us human beings would be in this room, on this planet,
La fuerza creadora. Sí.
if it weren't for the conduit of a woman's body. All life comes out of a woman's body. So we have to give them that respect. And the same thing for you. Like,
Right.
that's one of the things I loved about what I saw in that video. On the other side of that video was all of this. I couldn't tell you to the T, you know, exactly how it was gonna play out, but I knew your fearlessness in what it was that you did in that video and what you did in that song, and the way that you committed to the whole entire thing was like a very real thing. That needs to be protected, that needs to be supported, and it would just be awesome if all the Latin companies, you know, all the Spanish companies would lift their women, you know, whether it's the artists, because right now you see the artists, the female artists, you guys get lifted, but I don't know what it's like in the contracts. I don't know what it's like in the boardrooms. You know, I don't know what it's like on the board. But now is a time, now is an amazing opportunity for the Latin culture to lift the Latin woman, lift the Latina.
That's the key. I think is what he's saying, like lift, like just give the opportunity, give the light. You know what I mean? Because I think it's harder when you're a woman and you see that other men, just because the numbers, for example, that could make those people have more. Es como una bola, es que al final, como si a lo mejor a ti no se te da una posición de igualdad, al final eso hace que no tengas los beneficios. Si no tienes los beneficios, eso hace que nunca estés en la misma posición. Entonces es como que el crecimiento se vuelve mucho más... es mucho más difícil, mucho más dificultoso. Y por ejemplo también siento que los hombres muchas veces no tienen que demostrar, se da por sentado que they own it. And I feel like women, most of the time, we're fighting to show that we own it. We're fighting to prove that we own it. We have to prove all the time, prove. No. It's already so clear, and it should be so clear for everybody.
And by the way, and this is, to me, I'm making reference now specifically to the digital service providers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you're on a song with people and you end up being featured, but you have a lot of real estate in the song, you're still getting your credit. You're still making your money, right? Just so the public understands.
Right.
But what she might not get, because she's a featured artist on the song, she might not get the benefit of being on that platform and that platform referencing her. But as you know, the Latin culture, it would be beautiful to watch them like go to these platforms and say, you need to change that algorithm, you know, because we need to lift our Latin women when they're in positions like this.
So are women and Latin singers not getting the placement that they need in those algorithms? Have you experienced that, Rose?
Lo que yo te diría es que creo que hay muchas veces en las que, por la forma en las que se hacen los negocios, no es fácil como recibir el beneficio del que él está hablando. Yo personalmente te puedo decir que me siento muy agradecida de todo lo que ha pasado en mi carrera, que yo trabajo muy duro, pero hay una parte en la que sé que aunque hay otras mujeres que trabajen muy duro, a lo mejor no se alinea de la misma forma para que tengan una posición así, pero creo que hay una cuestión que se hace una bola sin querer, de que si se prioriza según qué hombres, en una canción, pongamos un ejemplo, una canción, hipótesis, una canción en la que hay varios hombres y una mujer, ¿no? Y es una canción que es un remix, y en ese remix se le promete a la mujer que va a ser main artist, y la mujer tiene más tiempo en la canción que el resto de hombres participando. Pero luego hay artistas grandes que tienen muchos números y que por el algoritmo interesa que ellos estén como main artist y ella como featuring. Eso va a hacer que ellos tengan todo el beneficio mecánico, pero ella no lo tenga. Eso significa que se hace una bola en la que esa mujer va a tener mucha más dificultad de acabar teniendo los números que puedan tener esos hombres.
So what first moves would you recommend to women who are starting in this career?
I love this question. You're gonna get a great answer right now.
I mean, honestly, it's hard to say something and be right about the answer, because I think that everybody has a different path, for sure. And I think that you really have to be connected with yourself to know which one is yours. And also, I think that in my case, really, 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 really work hard. And as he was saying, because I think that I always say like go the way. And I think that just owning it, like really believing in yourself and really believing that this is how it has to be. And also I think that having the faith that you can kind of, tú puedes darle forma al futuro, depende de cómo tú pienses, depende de cómo tú actúes, tú vas a darle forma a lo que va a pasar en tu vida. Yo creo mucho en eso. Entonces, si de verdad tienes convicción, and if you really don't doubt, or if there's a little moment that you doubt, but then you do like, come on, let's go. And then you just go. I think that those things has been really important for me, you know?
So here you heard the first moves, the conviction, working hard, staying the course. Rose, I'm going to ask something really specific that I love to ask, and I'm going to ask both of you. What do you spend too much money on?
Okay, that's a good question. I spend most of my money, for example, in my project, because my first record, Los Angeles, I was touring with that record, right? And it was my first one. All the money that I've done with that tour, that it was a Spanish tour, like every weekend I was doing one show, I spent it all in choreography. All in choreography for the next project. And I was like, and we were all like, really? My mom and my sister, they were like, Rosalia, are you sure? Like, is this a good idea? You know, like, I've never danced, like, on stage, like, formation. I never did that. And they were like, really? And I was like, yeah, I feel it in my heart. I have to do this. So I spent my money like that. Instead of buying not a house, of course, but instead of buying something like that, or a car, or jewelry, no. I spend it in my project, in that.
How about you, Pharrell?
Me, like, my mom and my dad, my mom and my dad and you know, my family and that's kind of like it. I mean and causes and things that I feel like are really important, you know. Like I feel like you got to do those things, man. Like you have to tithe, you know, like you got to give back. You got to give back to that which has been given to you.
For sure.
You know, the universe has given us so much, you know, and even in these crazy times, it's like you can't lose sight of that. You know, no matter how good it is, no matter how terrible it is, no matter how bland or blah it is, you have to remember that, to give back to that which has been given to you.
I agree 100% with that, and I think I've been more aware about this mindset during this year. I think this year changed things. Like, I think now it's not allowed anymore I don't know, como el bullshit, ¿sabes? Como, you know? Like the crazy, you know, attitudes. Like, I think now, like, people is more aware. And I feel people is more generous now. And at least I feel like that. And the giving back is very important.
I want to go back a little bit to the choreography, because for both of you, dance is so integral to your visual component. You know, the moves in the videos. I mean, Rose, you of course, but Pharrell too. I was watching a bunch of Pharrell videos before this interview, and I was like,
You're like...
I'm like, what did you watch?
The dance elements are so integral to both your proposals, right? So how do you come up with the concepts, with the movements, with the moves? You were saying, Pharrell, at the beginning that even when you start to make the music, you're already thinking of it visually. And I think Rose is the same, right?
Maybe I would say something that I see in you. Like, I feel like he's a creator in many different ways. And I can see that in everything that he does, not just the music, you know, it goes much beyond that. And I think that for me, I feel like everything is kind of connected. Sometimes a word is a trigger to write something, but sometimes a word is a trigger for design of clothes. Sometimes, you know, like when I see you, like there's an image that maybe triggers something in you, and then you produce different, and then I don't know, like I feel like everything is connected, and when you are aligned and connected with that everything is talking to everything. It almost feels like when creating is a conversation. That's why I think in itself, but also it's so hard to create by yourself. You need people, I think, around, so you can keep with a conversation, even just by myself, with David, first of all, the engineer that I work with always. I'm so grateful that I can talk to him. Just talk to him, you know, because I could get so crazy just on the process of choosing something, and you get caught up in your own mind. But when you are in conversation, things get easier. And there's people that they say that art is a dialogue between artists, and I really believe in that, you know. And I think that also is a dialogue between things.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed. I think, and I think when you make music, again, talk about like inspiration. I feel like, again, I feel like you make music for more than just your fan base. I think you're making music for, like, you know, people who are in similar situations like yours and people who are in tougher situations like yours. When I think about like the gift of being able to work with you and the culture that you bring, you know, you may be from Spain, but your music appeals to other Spanish-speaking people.
I think it would be great to try to find more clarity on las terminologías, ¿no? De cuando la gente dice artista latino, no latino. Yo siento que ahora mismo es un debate que está en la mesa y que creo que sería bien interesante como poner como claridad en ese sentido.
¿Tú qué propones?
O sea, me refiero, por ejemplo, yo cuando intento como pues verlo más claro, pienso, a ver, yo soy de Barcelona y la música que he estudiado es flamenca sobre todo y es en español, pero también he estudiado mucha música que viene de Latinoamérica y que está hecha en español. Por eso, además también he escuchado mucha música americana en inglés, pero sobre todo mucha música en español. Entonces la música que yo hago es en español y pienso, entonces por eso es que muchas veces se me engloba como artista latina y porque el español proviene del latín, right? Pero No sé, claro, no es lo mismo eso que latinoamericana. A mí veo muchas veces eso se cuestiona cuando muchas otras veces hombres no se les cuestiona, que han tenido mucho éxito y han estado ahí muchas veces, nunca se les ha cuestionado, pero maybe es porque ese debate cae de golpe sobre mí, pero digo, ostras, maybe cae sobre mí y otras personas y es porque está sobre la mesa y hay algo que es importante clarificar y que hay que tener conocimiento y que estaría muy bien maybe cambiar algo en ese sentido, en cuanto a cómo se hacen estas categorías, etcétera, ¿no?
Para Billboard, música latina es música en español. Tú eres una artista española, no eres latinoamericana, pero tu música la llamamos latina porque es en español. Y sí, el debate de si los artistas españoles hacían o no música latina es algo que nunca escuché alrededor de los artistas masculinos. Solo lo empecé a escuchar ahora con las mujeres.
Claro, como que es curioso, ¿no? Pero sobre todo pienso que a lo mejor hay un debate que está o sea, hay una conversación necesaria, a lo mejor por debajo de todo esto. Que yo celebro muchísimo el éxito de compañeros siempre, pero me refiero a que a lo mejor sí, hay alguna forma de no sé, de hacerlo diferente. Es porque latino al final incluye muchas cosas, podemos hablar del idioma o de la cultura, ¿no? Entonces como que no es lo mismo y cuando se dice artista latino quizás no está reflejando a lo mejor de la mejor manera posible algo, no sé, es una...
Es interesante porque la música latina se le llama latina en Estados Unidos, en nuestros países no.
Claro, exacto. Es que al final es más fácil así, ¿no? Sí, sí, sí.
And thank you to both. Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank you,
having me.
thank you.
And thank you.
Yeah.
This has been great.
Thank you, Pharrell.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.